Straight out of an authoritarian playbook, Trump is going after the media because the media can hold him accountable. My name is Dina Dahl with the Legal AF channel. Let's break this down. Now, there are numerous ways he's gone after the media. Let's talk about his first term, where he coined the term fake news. It was the beginning, the chink in the idea that news cannot be trusted. If you make it so millions of people don't trust the news, and you can say whatever you want and you will never get fact checked. Before I was a lawyer, I was a journalist, and to me, that was almost one of the most dangerous things he did in his first term, because the media has always been seen as the fourth branch of government. And what we do here on Legal AF and Midas Touch, talking about the facts and the legal news, is part of that fourth branch. And the community who listens to that news and communicates that news to friends and family is part of that fourth branch. And this is what Trump is trying to shut down at every turn. So 60 Minutes and CBS, which he's already in a lawsuit over. He's in the lawsuit over their Vice President Harris interview right before the election. He's suing them for $20 billion. Yes, that's not a fake number. I mean, it's a fake number in terms of actual damages, but it's a number written down on a piece of paper and filed in court. That's how ridiculous this Trump person is. So in his social media post, he was upset about another 60 Minutes episode just this past weekend. And he goes on his usual rampage of talking about how awful they are, how anti-Trump they are. But then he says something that is so chilling for the president of the United States to say. He says, they are not a news show, but a dishonest political operative simply disguised as news, and must be responsible for what they have done and are doing. They should lose their license. Hopefully, the Federal Communications Commission, as headed by its highly respected chairman, Brendan Carr, will impose the maximum fines and punishment, which is substantial, for their unlawful and illegal behavior. CBS is out of control at levels never seen before, and they should pay a big price for Make America Great Again. That is a dictator statement, because the fact is he's not even mincing words. This is in plain sight. He's directing the FCC to basically revoke the license of a major broadcast channel because he doesn't like what they have to say about him. And do we think he won't try to replace this person? I mean, we've seen him replace other agencies, members of the National Relations Board, for a lot less than allowing. Now he sees, CBS's critical comments for continuing. This is this is how you destroy a democracy, is by taking down the media. And he's threatening to do that in plain sight, while on the other hand, still suing them while he's president, still suing them. Evidently, Paramount, the head of CBS, is in negotiations for that settlement. Are they going to bend the knee? What are they going to be willing to give him? So they have this threat of revoking the license during the time of a settlement. I mean, that is a quid pro quo in itself. That is a huge conflict of interest. Never mind if he actually acts on trying to replace the commissioner. We saw Disney pay out $15 million. We saw Meta pay out the $25 million, clearly because he won the election, because they had been fighting those lawsuits for years. So those media companies willing to basically bend the knee. If the media companies aren't willing to stand up, we cannot defend our democracy. Take a look at how Sanders just boils this down in a nutshell of how Trump really, his thin-skinned. That's how Sanders is so good at calling out Trump's defects and how it's his defect of a thin skin for why he's really going after them. Take a listen.
And right now, he's going after the media. I don't know if any of you saw it. He is now wanting to take away CBS's license because they did a story that criticized him. Oh, my word! CBS criticized him. Oh, let's drive them out of business. How terrible is that? He has sued ABC He has sued Meta. He has sued the Des Moines Register. This guy cannot take criticism. He can dish it out all right, but he can't take it. And I say to Mr. Trump, if you can't take criticism, get out of the political process. This is a democracy.
According to reports, Trump's threats to cut off funding to NPR and PBS will come true at the end of this month. Evidently, he plans on sending a memo to Congress when they come back on April 28th, outlining his intent to cut off such funding. And then Congress will have 45 days in which to either approve that or deny it. Do we think this Congress will do anything other than approve his request? Which means there might be a sad reality of no longer having a publicly funded media in this country. And those of us who have watched and listened to public news for years understand how significant that is. Not only do they usually do local in-depth coverage that nobody else does, they give the kind of national in-depth coverage that maybe doesn't garner the same kind of headlines and so doesn't attract commercial sponsors, but that's okay because they don't need commercial sponsors with their federal funding. This is how you take down a democracy. It is not an accident that this is one of the early actions that this Trump administration is making. Trump is also just acting like a bully and trying to enforce the media to get in line behind him, as we can see with him and how he treats the CNN reporter daring to question why he's not following a Supreme Court order.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility. Please go ahead.
President Trump.
Now, while Trump bullies and tries to defund media that he doesn't like, he is rewarding media that he does like. Specifically, the head of X now has a seat in the White House press room. Now, you might wonder why, because this is a social media company and not a media company. Now, even according to Elon Musk, who put out on his X that you are the media now, but these social media companies from X to Zuckerberg have been fighting for the idea that they are not media. So while he gets his seat in the press room, he at the same time is shielded from liability that most media companies have for defamation and others. Under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the law says that social media companies are not, in fact, media companies. You would question whether or not that were true, not only by the amount of news people get from social media, but also by the mere fact that they now have a seat in the White House press room. So while all this news may seem very dire, there was a glimmer of good news for our free speech and for how to take Trump to account for the many things he said. And this is in the form of the defamation lawsuit brought by the Central Park Five. A judge just recently ruled that it can go forward, which means that Trump, while he's in office, will be personally sued for defaming these men while on stage during his debate in Pennsylvania. If you remember at the time, he lied about them, said that they were guilty and killed somebody, neither of which were true. And now he's going to be facing the consequences. My name is Dina Dahl with the Legal AF channel. We will be sure to update you on the many legal developments to come.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.